I'd like you for a moment to imagine that the United Kingdom is a large three-storey building. There is a basement, but effectively there are three floors. Now, on the ground floor, you and I live, and every other ordinary person in the land lives, with the ambitions to live a meaningful life, be happy, bring up one's family, etc. This floor is not shared by our so-called political leaders or the money that supports them. The ground floor is dingy by comparison with what is above us. The windows are shuttered, they're open occasionally. In fact, they're open only really on the once every 5 years when the general election is about to take place, or of course on occasions like the budget or a referendum like that which we now face. Now, up on the first floor, where our so-called political leaders reside, and of course the people who finance them, it's altogether better decorated. It's a pleasant place to live. There's air conditioning. The windows are bright. The sun shines in. It's a nice place to be. And those who live there are sure and certain in the knowledge that their opinions of those below them on the ground floor and in the basement are entirely correct. Now, the people who live in the basement, I would describe them as the beer and fags section of the community, have learned to believe everything they hear from the first floor. A few of us, but it is only a few, on the ground floor actually question what we're told. And of course we're presented with a glowing picture on those days when the shutters are removed and an election or referendum or something is due. I should perhaps add that the crucial part of this illustration is the fact that the second floor is to let. There's a big notice by the staircase where the door is padlocked saying for statesmen and national leaders only. And of course nobody's been up there in many years. I'm told there's a museum up there with waxworks effigies of people who went before. The last person to gain entry was, of course, Winston Churchill. Now, because this is the general construction of the United Kingdom, those of us who live in the dim, or live comparatively dim existences on the ground floor and in the basement, are not expected to think for ourselves. This is frowned upon, as indeed it is on the first floor. Towards the back of the building, with a southern aspect, so where the sun shines brightest, the hierarchies of the political parties reside. They can't allow the rest of the people on the first floor to have opinions. These people are expected to toe the party line or to be removed or requested to go downstairs and spend the rest of their lives there. So today has been the 14th of March, and in 2 days from now our Chancellor will throw open the windows and present his budget. Now, shall be very interested to see as this is one of the few occasions when the people from the first floor are going to indeed have any dialogue with the people on the ground floor and basement at all, how much of his budget speech is made up with propaganda and the expression of all the fears he has if we opt out of the European Union. And it's very, very difficult for me as an individual to accept the fact that we live in a country where the second floor is no longer occupied. It's probable, of course, that the people who indeed take the lease on the top floor won't be English, Irish, Scottish or Welsh at all. They'll be our partners from predominantly Germany and France, who will demonstrate that they've got our best interests at heart, providing we toe the line and do what they require from the EC. So I shall be watching with interest on Wednesday when the budget speech is made. I hope you'll watch it too. I hope you'll be able to ascertain where any objective reaction or policy relating actually to the United Kingdom in the control of the British people is made at all. I don't expect any. How on earth the people can believe that what is going to be forthcoming in terms of the current budget is going to be anything but influenced by the EC. I note with interest also that at the moment it's being proposed, or it's being negotiated, that we sell the British Stock Exchange to the Germans. Yet another example of the moneyed section of the community cutting and running, knowing there's no future for the EC at all. Because of course we on the ground floor can sit here and listen to their pronunciation or their announcements of how wonderful it is for us and how silly we'd be to opt out. The other thing which has come of interest in the last few days is that the Scottish Nationals have announced that, of course, they believe that they should relaunch the debate on whether they ought to be independent or not. I don't think I've ever seen in my life citizens or subjects of the United Kingdom being asked to sign a suicide pact, but it would appear this is what they'll be involved in. Of course, they've got a nice little section of the first floor, while the Scots are down below with us. So I'm looking forward to the budget. We shall hear what the man's got to say. There's little doubt, as I've said, that it will be slanted in favour of hitting the ground floor as hard as they can, presenting a picture of those on the first floor actually residing on the second, being leaders and statesmen that we should look up to. But I fear the reality is very different. So I'll look forward to your vote when it finally comes in June against remaining within the European Union. Thank you.